In a small village between quiet hills, there lived a man who carried stones every day. No one knew why he did it. Each morning before sunrise, he walked to the dry riverbed beyond the fields. He chose a stone, sometimes small, sometimes heavy, and carried it back to a bare piece of land beside his house. He placed it carefully on the ground and returned for another the next day. The villagers watched him in silence at first. Then they began to whisper, "He has no harvest to tend. He builds nothing. He wastes his strength." The man never explained himself. He greeted people kindly. He worked when others needed help. But every dawn he carried a stone. Years passed. The pile beside his house grew slowly. It was not impressive. It was not tall. It was simply there, a quiet gathering of weight and effort. Sometimes, when he lifted a stone that was too heavy, his steps slowed. His back bent. Once he slipped and fell, scraping his hands against rough edges. He sat for a long time beside the river that day. The water no longer flowed there. It had dried many seasons ago, leaving only dust and scattered rocks. The man looked at the empty bed and then at the stone in his arms. He almost left it behind. But as the sun rose higher, he stood, lifted the stone again, and walked home. The villagers shook their heads. If he must work so hard, they said, why not build something useful? A wall, a tower, a house. But the man built nothing. One spring, dark clouds gathered earlier than expected. The air grew heavy. Birds flew low over the fields. The elders felt something coming, though they could not name it. Then the rain began. It did not fall gently, poured without pause. For days and nights, the sky opened and would not close. The dry riverbed awoke with sudden force. Water rushed down from the hills, fierce and swollen, carrying branches and mud. The village had never seen such rain. The river, long forgotten, remembered its path. Water climbed its old banks and spilled into the fields. It pressed against the houses closest to the valley. Wooden fences cracked. Doors trembled under the weight. Panic spread faster than the flood. People ran to higher ground. They carried children, tools, whatever they could hold. But the water moved quickly. When it reached the man's house, it slowed. The stones beside his home were no longer a pile. Over the years, without anyone noticing, he had shaped them carefully. Not into a tower, not into a monument, but into a low, curved barrier that followed the natural bend of the land. The flood struck the stones first. Water pushed against them, searching for weakness. It found none. The barrier did not stop the river completely, but it softened its force. It divided the current. It guided it away from the nearest homes and back toward its old path. The man stood in the rain, steady and silent, as the water moved around the work of his quiet mornings. Other villagers gathered behind the stone curve. They watched as the flood met the barrier again and again, losing strength each time. By the third day, the rain slowed. By the fourth, the sky cleared. The river returned to its bed. Mud covered the fields. Some fences had fallen, but the houses nearest the valley still stood. When the villagers walked through the wet earth, they stopped before the stones. They ran their hands across the surface, feeling the weight of years they had once questioned. No one laughed now. The man did not speak of what he had done. He did not claim wisdom. He simply began once more to rise before sunrise. The next morning, he walked to the riverbed. The storm had left many new stones behind. He lifted one, heavier than most, and carried it home. And in the quiet of early light, before the village awoke, another stone found its place.